far can we get if we sail a little bit high?
Welcome to the How to Get Away with Murder mid-season premiere, which really feels like the mid-season finale because it ties up all the loose ends from the first half of the season and sets up new drama to take us through the back half. Plus, the show aired one less episode than normal in the fall, which enhances the sense that this is a long-delayed finale. It's time to finally catch up to all those scenes teased in flash-forwards over the course of the season thus far. Back at Annalise's apartment, the paramedics have arrived to take Laurel's very much alive premature baby and an unconscious Laurel to the hospital. Annalise follows, while the police treat the bloody elevator as a crime scene because it's related to Annalise. Connor is at Wes's old apartment on the phone with Michaela trying to put together the pieces, but he's interrupted by a phone call from Annalise. She fills him in on the drama with Laurel and the baby, while he reveals that Simon was shot. Connor then goes to Nate and begs him for help getting Asher out of jail, who is still desperately demanding his right to a phone call. Frank finds Annalise at the hospital and demands to see the baby because he's the father. The doctors tell them that both Laurel and the baby are stable and in recovery, but before they can become one big happy dysfunctional family, the Department of Human Services show up asking a series of suspicious questions about Laurel's mental well-being and her potential use. Annalise quickly realizes this is all Laurel's father's doing and sees him being admitted to the hospital. She tries to urge the social workers not to believe him, but he takes emergency custody of the baby, and Laurel's paternity test proves that Frank is not the baby's father. At this point, Annalise is desperate and threatens the hospital with a malpractice suit for putting Laurel on an illegal psych hold and not allowing Frank in to visit. Never underestimate the power of Annalise because shortly Frank is in Laurel's hospital room begging her to wake up. Annalise has Laurel's files, which contain toxicology reports indicating she had in her system that induced labor and she has a history of bipolar disorder. Enter Isaac, whom Annalise calls to come to the hospital to help get Laurel out of the psych ward. When he gets to the hospital, Annalise tells him the files show a history of mental illness all made up by Laurel's father. She needs Isaac to do a psych evaluation to help Laurel. He says he has no authority at the hospital, but Annalise threatens to report him and his ex-wife to the medical board if he doesn't do it. Back at Kaplan Gold, Oliver and Michaela are breaking down, realizing that Asher must have told the police the truth, as opposed to the story that they caught Simon stealing the files and he had himself in desperation. In contrast, Asher tells the true story of Simon's accidental to Nate, who has come to him in prison. He reveals he picked up the gun on purpose because he didn't want to end up caught in another stream of lies. After getting Connor's voicemail about what's happening at the hospital with Laurel, Michaela leaves Oliver at CG, but not before Tegan intercepts her to question her as to how Simon got her keycard when it was Michaela who was holding her purse. At the hospital, Laurel is finally waking up, under the watchful eyes of Frank and Isaac. But the hospital staff knocks Laurel out with more right away as she starts screaming. Where's the baby? Meanwhile, Annalise is arguing with hospital staff, demanding Laurel be given a new test while she watches. Social services reveals it's too late. The baby is already being transferred to another hospital. Annalise chases after the baby and Mr. Castillo, begging him to not take the baby away because Laurel will never recover and never forgive him. He leaves with the child, while Annalise tells the hospital staff he's going to hurt the baby and they'll all have blood on their hands. Michaela finds Connor at the hospital, where he reveals Laurel is in the psych ward and then runs off to rescue Oliver, but not before blaming the baby's potential on Michaela and her involvement in Laurel's schemes. She stands in front of the babies in the nursery in a state of shock when Isaac happens upon her, thinking he's Annalise again. I ask, how? Michaela reveals to him that Laurel stopped taking her antidepressants per OB's advice but then leaves to find the other Keating 4. Back at Kaplan Gold, Bernie is on the scene and questions Oliver about the hard drive, but he still thinks Laurel has it and is waiting at the apartment for them all. Connor shows up demanding Oliver's release as his lawyer, but Bonnie has already secured his release as a member of the DAS office. Dominic is there also, demanding information from Tegan, but she says no files were removed and the IT guy went home for the night. He gets Oliver's name and information from her. Recap continues on page 2.